Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's going well. Let me share my screen, and please let me know if I'm coming through okay.
Yeah, I as soon as you share your screen, I'll push it up there, but I don't see it there yet. Okay, you should be good to go.
Okay, very good. All right, so welcome everyone. It's nice to have everyone here. So presenting myself, my name is Rodrigo Nader. I'm one of the creators of Langflow, and these past couple months, we've been introducing MCP capabilities into Langflow in a very intense way. We've been investing in MCP very strongly. And I think with this presentation, I like to show a little bit of what we're doing with MCP, how we're doing it, and why exactly we're doing it. And hopefully we'll have time to go through a quick demo of how to use it in Langflow and how that can improve your development cycle, okay? For those who never seen Langflow before, Langflow, the idea with Langflow is that with LLMs and AI, Gen AI apps, a new development paradigm was emerging, right? And the idea is that with traditional software development, what we do is we are coding and we find a problem in our function or we find a bug. For example, what we do is we look for the specific line of code that is causing that issue. And then we go there inside of that line, inside that function, and we debug that. We find the problem and we fix the problem, right? And with LLMs, the paradigm sort of shifted to a new way because the main function in your AI app is basically the LLM, is the model, right? So you basically have a black box that you cannot very closely control. You cannot access the inner states of a model and understand what's going on and change what's going on inside of that, right? So what shifted is that instead of developers spending more time inside of the function itself, developers started to spend more time on the inputs and try to tweak inputs, tweak the context, the sources that are coming through, and then try to see new results coming in the output. So Langflow is sort of a tentative of a solution for that, a platform, a way to develop that is more visual, more interactive, and that gives you control to manipulate these LLM systems, okay? Langflow is a Python native platform. It is completely visual, and it gives you control to create LLM apps in different kinds of areas. So you can think of model chaining, reasoning, you can think of context assembling, RAG, agent orchestration, and so on. And it offers a series of components, pre-built components for you to play with, meaning components for data consumption, for RAG, for search tools, for text preprocessing, output structuring, guardrails, and so much more, right? But more than that, it offers the main suite of agentic capabilities, right? So we have the Langflow agent, and we have a lot of other components that live with that agentic ecosystem, right? Together with features that help you create, prototype, understand, and interact with the systems that you are developing inside of the platform. And one of the things that we backed a lot inside of Langflow is the capabilities, are the custom capabilities, right? So the idea that you shouldn't only be attached to the existing components that you create, that are already inbuilt in Langflow, but you can also create your own components. So for example, you can literally code a component, decide what are going to be the inputs, the outputs of that component, and Langflow offers an easy path for you to convert that component into an agentic component, meaning you can convert any component, even the ones that you create, into a tool, right? And then with that, you're gonna have not only an easy way to connect with agents, so let's say you created your own function, now you converted that function into a tool, but also have provide granular control or set exactly what are going to be the specific actions that your agent will have access to use, or what parameters the agent can use versus what parameters should be filled manually. Okay, but in the past 2 to 3 releases, Langflow 1.3, Langflow 1.4, we started to invest much more intensely into MCP, and I think that, so before I show what we're doing with MCP, and we're going to go through a live demo, I'd like to explain a little bit of the reasons why I think MCP made a big difference. Of course, risking over here stating the obvious of what everyone already knows. But I was myself very skeptical about why we need MCP for real, because right before it, we already have ways to provide tool calling, right? I've worked with frameworks like LangChain, like CrewAI, and all of those agentic frameworks. And you think, well, there's already a way for providing tool calling. We already have pretty good performance, pretty good accuracy, and these frameworks were improving. So why exactly do we needed something more than traditional API calling? And that is not just because it's becoming a standard, right? That was the argument that I think I needed to get into it very in depth. And I think it comes down to a couple of reasons, but the most important one to me is that MCP completely shifts the center of attention of how tools are exposed, right? In the first way, in the traditional way of tool calling, what you have is you hard code the rules and the tools into the information about the tools, right, into the agent prompt, meaning that the system prompt of an agent would carry all of that information as context, right, hard coded. And with MCP, what you introduce instead is you have the system that is going to be called, and this system itself is going to inform the agent what tools are available, what methods can be called, how they can be called, and so on. So the entire metadata surrounding the tool usage is not anymore part of the agent. It's now part of the tool set itself, right? So this allowed for dynamic tool discovery. This allowed for a modular building, a clear separation between what is the responsibility of the agent versus what's the responsibility of the tools. And then the second big deal with MCP is sessions, right? So basically, an MCP call is stateful, meaning that in a sequence of calls, you're going to have a couple of advantages, which is models the agent remembering what was called in the previous what was stated in the previous call, right? So for example, you're booking a flight. The first thing the agent is booking the travel, let's say the travel tickets, and in the second part, the agent is booking the hotels, right? From when the agent is doing the second part, the hotel booking, it already knows the dates for the travel, the dates for the flights. So it's much easier and much more accurate for multiple conversation calls, right? So with that, the idea was like, okay, how we're going to introduce MCP in Langflow, and today we have it introduced in two different ways. Langflow today can act both as an MCP client and as a server. So with the client way, you can use the MCP component to call external tools, right? Basically, we have a component exactly like any other component. It has the tool mode and the normal mode, and you're going to set up or configure or add one of the MCP servers that you're interested in, and you're going to call that from the component. And the other way that Langflow integrates with MCP is by making projects becoming an MCP server. Right? So you can expose flows in your own Langflow project as tools. So you can create a project, and each one of the flows that you create over there are going to behave as a tool. And then you can configure the parameters, you configure the description, so that you set, so that you define how the clients like Cursor or Claude are going to call your MCP. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift to a live demo, and let's try this out very quickly, just to show you how this works. So over here, you're looking at Langflow, okay? Each one of these projects is what can be converted into an MCP server, okay? And each project can have multiple flows. So let me start showing you one of these guys, and I'm gonna start with one of them that is actually calling the MCP component, right? In this case, over here, if you can see, I have the MCP connection component. It's attached to the MCP chart server, which I already pre-configured, right? So if I click over here, you're gonna see that I have a couple of MCP servers pre-configured. And this has a couple of actions that I can even enter over here and disable if I want, right? So a couple of options that I can see. I can modify descriptions for the agent and so on. And what this is doing is I have an agent. The agent is calling this charts, and it's also calling the news search, which is not an MCP component. Okay, so the news search is a basic component in Langflow that performs basic Google News search via RSS. So let's say I do something like Apple Inc. in the news search. What you're going to have as a result is a couple of URLs that are going to be retrieved. Okay, but now as I showed you in the slides, you have this tool mode button that can convert anything into a tool, right? So basically, the news search is working together with my chart MCP to power an agent that is going to perform some action to me. So this is something I've been playing with. I was doing Tesla. Let's try some stock options over here. So Apple Inc. retrieve Apple Inc. Let's say articles or news, right? News articles. Extract the sentiment and then create. I don't know. Let's do something different. A pie chart. Okay. Let's see how that goes. And this is live demo in a dev branch. So fingers crossed. Okay. So what you can see over here is that the agent first accessed the new search component, and then extracted a lot of news over here, and then it came and created the output visualization for us using these two tools, right? Cool. So basically, you have an agent, and you already can see how interesting or powerful can be this communication between MCP and non-MCP capabilities, right? Both from an agentic perspective, but you can also think of traditional workflows, because in some situations you want a part of your system to be agentic, but another part to be more rule-based, right? And this is an example where I have on non-MCP based tool, and another one that is highly relying on MCP. So this is one example. The other example that I'm going to show you over here is basically a sequential agent. This is what I call the quick research. It's similar to a deep research, but slightly faster and more shallow, right? And this is using a series of agents in sequence chained together to accomplish tasks, right? So we have a planner that is going to take the user query and split it and break it down. And then we have a researcher, which is an agent that has access to a web search. Third, we have the summarizer is going to take the web search results and access each one of the URLs, and then it's going to summarize the content. Then we have the retriever, the reviewer. Sorry, reviewer is going to just verify the information, make sure it writes some concerns to the writer, and then the writer is going to summarize the final article, right, for us. So this is similar to an OpenAI deep research, slightly faster and slightly obviously much simpler over here. I mean, in this case, I'm using the GPT Nano to try to make it faster for the presentation. So let's try to search for something. Let's, for example, say, what are the most famous types of coffee from Brazil, right? I don't know. Cool, and it started already to work. The first one broke it down into questions. Now there is the second agent over here is performing some searches. You can see the input it decided to use for each one of the queries. Okay, and then it's probably going to generate something over here, and it's going to continue, right? So I'm going to wait a little bit because it's a sequence of agents, so it might take a while. But there you go. So main question, what are the most This is the reviewer agent. It's highlighting the gaps and new sub questions. And then I could, and you could go crazy with this, right? You could loop and try to make this agentic system much more complex. But this is just a simple example. So the final report came along, and we have a couple of points that it extracted from the web and created this short summary of this short article for me about the coffee specialties in Brazil. So, but now the cool stuff over here is first, notice how it can be modular, right? And how atomic I can make this thing be for control. Because in the end, when we're thinking about agentic systems, we are also thinking about how much control we want to give to these systems, right? So over here in this case, I'm getting one output for each one of the agents, and I could break this down even further in multiple steps. Okay, but the nice thing is that, okay, I created that system, I create my sequence of steps, my agentic workflow, and I want to expose that now as an MCP server. So in our, hope you can see my screen, in our project specifications, we have the MCP server tab where each one of the flows that you saw, they can be accessed as MCP servers, all right? So if I edit the actions over here, I can even change their names, change their descriptions, so that an MCP client is going to call them. In this case over here, I'm going to add them to my cursor, right? So quickly integrate to cursor. And if I go to cursor over here right now, you will see that this is loading the tools that I just created, right? So I literally just created MCP servers using Langflow. I assembled them together into one server. Each one of these tools can be accessed over here. And let's say in cursor right now, I'm gonna say perform a quick research about, well, let's say the types of coffee in Brazil. Hopefully it's going to know, because of the prompt, it's going to know to use this tool over here, right? So quick research, yeah. So cursor already identified that it needs to use our MCP tool, and there you go. Right? So what you're going to see over here is probably the same result that we saw over there, or something very similar. But you can immediately understand how in Langflow can not only become a tool for creating agents, creating RAG systems, and so on, but also become an MCP assembler tool, right? Yeah, or an MCP aggregator. You call systems, you pre-process or post-process the results of what you want. You maybe modify, add rules to them, chain processes together, and with very quick steps, you re-expose that as an MCP server. Okay, so this is the idea behind it. And just to show you a little bit, like if you open a new component from scratch, what you can do is in Langflow, you can literally code whatever you want over here, right? So let's say I'm gonna create a component that is going to count the number of chars in a input, right? So let's call it count chars, right? Very nice. I have a quick component that does something simple. It's going to count the number of chars in an input text, right? And that can also become a tool mode, right? So this is to me one of the most powerful features in Langflow today, which is, hey, anything can become a tool, anything can be plugged into an agent, and now anything that is connected either to any flow or anything that is in a Langflow project can become an MCP server, right? And this is almost unlimited power, because when you do something like this, you can already visualize how one flow can call another flow via MCP, right? So think of multi-agent orchestration, or hybrid flows that are going to use a little bit of MCP, a little bit of traditional workflow, and so on. Okay, so that's the idea with Langflow. We have we also launched the Langflow desktop, so it's becoming a cool way for you to explore and use our playground to test new stuff. We have pretty interesting tools for structuring information. So just in this final one, you can see, for example, an example where we are doing entity extraction, right? And the output, so news come in, we are extracting entities, exposing this as an MCP for an event extraction system, right? And there you go. So, well, let me come back to the presentation. So the idea of Langflow is to make the life of whoever is creating AI systems in general, be it agentic, RAG, or anything that uses LLMs in general, easier and more powerful. We are obviously an evolving tool. Not only the ecosystem is evolving, but the platform is very new as well. So we welcome feedback at all times. Join us, join our Discord channel. We are over the moon with the amount of people giving us ideas, joining us, and helping us build what we're doing with Langflow. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Great demo, great conversation. So much, such an interesting way to think of, not just using Langflow to consume MCPs, but Langflow to actually build MCPs and build those MCPs that you can then consume through other agents or other workflows. Is that all functionality available today? Is that you mentioned that some of the stuff was coming in the future? What's the current availability of what you were showing us?
No, this is available, right? Only a couple of details, a couple of wrinkles that you wouldn't see over there, like for example the cursor plus button that we'll add immediately, but we have everything already, right? Langflow 1.4 was all about MCP, so if you download it right now, you're probably going to see a lot of that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Rodrigo. It was great having you today. Thank you all of our speakers for coming. Thank you everyone who joined us today, and we'll have all these videos split out as individual videos in the next day or two. So have a wonderful day, everybody. All right. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you taking the time. Rodrigo, Sandeep, have an awesome afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you. We're actually working hard on the timing for the next Dev Summit, which is probably going to be in Europe in the fall. So the team from Anthropic and some of the steering committee have been kind of positioning time and dates and stuff like that. So we're as we kind of put out for a call for papers and kind of announce it, certainly would welcome you guys to be involved. Anyway,
happy to join. So thanks for having us.
Congrats again on the. All right, take care.